Now, Scott, you started off in Hollywood as an actor,
That's
and this
right.
is your first transition to a writer-director role. How was that transition for you?
Well, because I was telling a character piece, which is all about characterization and behavior, it was much easier than if I were directing, let's say, Avatar or something with flying saucers or blue people. And I haven't seen that picture, but it was an easy transition because as an actor, I've been on many sets, and I was able to work with Jeff Bridges and Robert Duvall and Maggie quite easily. So it was a seamless transition.
Which do you prefer? Like what role? Like screenwriting, directing, acting?
You know, I take something from each of those. While I was editing Crazy Heart, I was also acting in a film that's coming out this year, again with Mr. Duvall and Bill Murray and Sissy Spacek, called Get Low. So I was doing, you know, all things at once. But I now know, having directed a film, that film is a director's medium and the stage is an actor's medium. And I'm so much more rewarded writing and directing and producing Crazy Heart than I have been heretofore.
Wow,
yeah.
That's really interesting. I feel like in the movie, one of the key integral parts is the music.
Oh, it's critical.
I mean, definitely. And I think that really a lot of the musical sound comes from the producer T-Bone Burnett, who composed it. What was it like working with such an acclaimed musician?
Well, when I first wrote the screenplay, I sent it to Robert Duvall, and who's a mentor and close friend, and he said, Scott, I love this, let's make it. What do you need to get this film made? And I said, well, besides money and you, Mr. Duvall, there are two things I need to have, and if I don't get them, I shouldn't make the film. One is Jeff Bridges, for whom I wrote the role, and secondly, it's T-Bone Burnett, who is really peerless at creating Americana roots music. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Walk the Line, Cold Mountain. And because I grew up in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, really listening to bluegrass music and then segueing to my dad's LP collection, vinyl, Townes Van Zandt and Waylon Jennings and Cash and Chris Christopherson, I really knew this world intimately. So I went to T-Bone with what musical experience I had and said, this is what I feel like the sound should be. And then T-Bone takes that and then creates his, as he says, an alternate universe. And it's one part traditional country music, one part Texas Roadhouse, and one part Delta Blues.
So like the character of Tommy Sweet, who, like you seem kind of like a Keith Urban style, like more of a...
Yeah. Colin Farrell's character is in the
great,
movie. Yeah, Colin's really fantastic in the film. He's a guy who is more representative of what's coming out of Nashville today, a little newer country, whereas Jeff Bridges' character, Bad Blake, is clearly a traditionalist. Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, those kind of guys. And I felt Colin would be an inspired choice because you wouldn't expect to see him in that role. And he's a guy who is Irish, and country music comes from Scotch-Irish heritage. So I had a feeling that he could sing, and of course T-Bone brought out the best in Colin, and he really gives a great nuanced performance.
Yeah.
And as you'd already mentioned, you had Jeff Bridges and Colin Farrell, as well as also great performances from Maggie Gyllenhaal and Robert
Maggie's
Duvall.
exceptional in the film, yeah.
How did that cast really come together?
Well, I had Robert Duvall, and then of course I wrote it for Jeff Bridges, and Jeff is notoriously difficult to bring to the party. And a year later, he said yes to the film. And at that point, Jeff and I got together, and we said, for the role of Jean, we need someone who who's a fearless actress, one who's courageous. Maggie's known for being both. She has a very unique beauty that I like. And something about Jeff and Maggie that drew me to them was that you don't know much about their private lives. You don't see them in the pages of Us Weekly, where they buy their Starbucks or hauling all their kids around or where they pump their gas. So when you don't have that, you really can buy these characters on screen. You can buy Jeff Bridges as an ex-con in American Heart, or as the president in The Contender, or as a broken down country singer in this. And Maggie's fresh, and she has a look that's kind of a throwback to the 30s or 40s, and she has an old soul, and I thought that's what the role required. And the rest of the actors, many of them were non-actors. I would find them in restaurants or gas stations or pushing a food cart in Santa Fe, because I wanted the film to feel as though it was cast by Dorothea Lange, the great photographer, or Walker Evans. So I'm really interested in faces. I'm not particularly interested in movies where everybody's handsome and good looking. Not that my actors aren't, because they are, but in a very real, unique way.